Hi folks, Rodney back again with Rodney's Northwest Riding Reviews. Today I'm going to do a walk around video on the new 2024 Toyota Highlander, or excuse me, Grand Highlander, and then we're going to do a little comparison to the 2023 regular Highlander. And they're both XLE models, and so we're going to talk about some of the distinct differences. Obviously you can see the wheels are different to begin with, and that's just kind of the wheel that they're running on the XLE model this year. Size-wise, not a huge difference in size, but I am going to open it up just so you can see the difference in cargo space, and that's where you're going to see the biggest difference. They both have the same motor. It's a 4-cylinder turbo. It's 265 horsepower with 300 foot-pounds of torque. The question has come up many times. How does the vehicle perform? Is that 4-cylinder going to be enough power? What about towing? You know, it still has the same towing capacity at 5,000 pounds. Is it enough? You have more torque. It's about 48 to 50 foot-pounds more torque than what we had in the previous model. And when you take off, you really notice that. Obviously, torque is what kind of gets the load moving, and then your horsepower is what kind of allows you to accelerate out on the highway. Most people are buying these vehicles as a family vehicle, and they want to, you know, transport their family or tow a boat to the lake, what have you. But they're not so much concerned about how much horsepower they have and how fast they can pass other people on the highway. So that was kind of Toyota's reasoning by going this direction. The other reason too is that it's all about emissions. By having the 4-cylinder turbo, it puts out less emissions than the V6 did, and it's you know, it's slightly more fuel efficient. Actually, I think they're rated about the same. Yeah, they have a combined of 23 now, so it's 21 in the city, 27 on the highway. So it's very similar to what we had in the previous gen. But a couple of things that I did notice differently, and I'll get inside the vehicle and kind of talk about those briefly. So let's open them up and see what you think. So here's where you're going to see the biggest difference in the Grand Highlander. You obviously pick up more cargo space in between the third row seating. You also pick up more leg room too. So we've sat in the back of the Grand Highlander with a third row seat, and it feels like it lifts you up a little bit higher. You have a little more leg room, and so you don't feel quite as cramped in there, and then obviously you have more cargo space. Now I'm going to show you a comparison to the older model. They say there's only 5 inches difference, but obviously you can see it definitely seems like there's more. And then you have less room, less leg room, and it feels very, very compact in there. It feels almost claustrophobic to an extent. You have more headroom in the Grand Highlander, and I noticed that right away when I sat in the vehicle. It also feels like you sit up a little bit higher in the Grand Highlander as far as the seating position, and it feels like it gives you more visibility inside the vehicle. So now I'm going to jump inside the vehicle and just kind of give you a difference there too. Okay, so I'm sitting in the 2024 Grand Highlander, and I wanted to kind of just give you some differences. So number one, visibility. So what I did on both vehicles is I lowered the seat down as low as it would go, and then just to kind of see what the difference is. It actually feels like you sit up a little bit higher in the Grand Highlander than what you did in the previous generation Highlander. And I'll get in that one here in a moment. The other thing too is that you can see the contour lines of the body is different, but on the hood especially, and when I get in the 2023 model, you'll see what I'm talking about. But they had a contour in the hood, and so basically what it does, it kind of takes away some of the visibility, and then it doesn't seem like you can kind of see over the hood quite as well in the 2023 as what you can the 2024 model. You'll notice that the screen is larger in the Grand Highlander. You have a digital instrument cluster that you don't have in the XLE model in this one. And like I said, we are comparing XLE to XLE here. Steering wheel is all basically the same. The layout's a little bit different. Now, it's very similar when it comes to the climate controls. But when you start looking at some of the things here, so like the console is totally different. And I'll get in the 2023 model here in a moment so you can see that. It does have your Qi wireless charging up here in the front. Here's a big improvement. So they come up with a panel sunroof. Hopefully that's not going to blind it. But that wasn't available in an XLE model, and it wasn't available on even the limited model. You had to get the Platinum model to get the panoramic sunroof. So if you live in a warm climate and you're concerned about the amount of heat that you get in through that, this vent or the shade really cuts down on the amount of heat that comes inside the vehicle. So you can always close that if you need to. But even with the panoramic sunroof, it still feels like you have more headroom in here than what you did in the 2023 model. It does have the automatic stop-start feature, of course your traction control. You still have eco, normal, and sport modes. And then for the all-wheel drive system, you have your mud and sand and then rock and dirt. And so basically what that does is that uses your analog braking system on each individual wheel. And basically what it does is it allows you to have ultimate traction at all times. You just kind of select what type of terrain you're going to be on. Once you exceed 25 miles per hour, it automatically kicks it out of that mode and then goes back in the regular all-wheel drive mode. You do have snow mode, and then of course you have your downhill assist. As far as performance goes, the performance is basically the same. It's the same engine, same transmission. It's an 8-speed transmission. And so in driving, I didn't notice any real difference in performance. The one thing that I did notice a difference is it feels like and seems like, this feels like it has a heavier ride to it. And it's probably just in the tuning in the shock absorbers. But it feels a little smoother. It's definitely quieter. You get more engine noise from the 2023 model, and then like I said, you have less noise. You're picking up less road noise, but then you're also picking up a lot less tire noise too. So all right, let's jump into 2023 model and see what you think. Okay, I'm sitting in the 2023 model, and right off the bat you can see that there is a contour in the hood that obviously takes away a little bit of the visibility. Now, one of the things I do notice is that in the 2024 Grand Highlander, it seems like the hood is a little bit longer, and it may just be the slope of the hood on this one versus it being a little more flat on the Grand Highlander. But it seems like the hood's a little bit longer on the Grand Highlander than what it does on the 2023 model. Now, you notice here that the screen obviously is smaller in the previous gen than what it is on the Grand Highlander. Climate controls we talked about are very similar in these. And then the layout is completely different on the console. So here you have the same features as what you had on the other one, but you know, they're just a little different layout. I like the new Grand Highlander and the way this is laid out. The other thing too is that it seems like the windshield is a little further out, so it seems like you have better visibility, and maybe that's just a perception, but it seems everything seems more cramped. So for instance, the roof line seems like it's lower. It seems like it's closer in on the A-pillars. Everything, even the door panels seem different as well. And like I said, you pick up a lot more road noise in this model, and engine noise too. I can hear that right off the bat, that I can hear the engine where it's very quiet in the other one. Now this one does have the sunroof, but it's just a regular sunroof. But it does seem like the roof line is much lower in this one. Now I'm going to jump back in the other one for a moment, and I'm going to show you how much legroom. So before I do, shut this one off, but I'm going to jump in the back seat here. Okay, so I had the seat set where I would normally drive at. So you have plenty of legroom here, but you have very little head clearance. And so like if I lean forward, it almost feels like I'm gonna hit my head right here where this vent is at. So it feels very, very cramped in here. I'm gonna jump into the third row seat. I may have to slide the seat forward to get in there, be a little easier. I've never enjoyed riding in the back here. It just, it's probably good for kids, but it's definitely not comfortable for an adult. And you can see this seat is in the regular position, but you could see if I was sitting in that seat over there, I would definitely not have any legroom. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna jump into the other one. Okay, I'm back in the Grand Highlander, and right off the bat, it definitely feels like you have a lot more headroom. Now granted, this one has a panoramic sunroof, and so obviously you have a little, goes up a little higher here, But if you didn't have that, your roof line would be even higher. So definitely don't feel near as cramped. Now, for anybody that's thinking about getting the panoramic sunroof and wonder whether it's something that you would enjoy or not, the one thing that I've noticed, and I have it in my Tundra, is that when the passenger is riding in the back and the shade is open, it lets in a lot more light. So it makes a person feel a lot less claustrophobic. Just light makes it seem larger inside the vehicle. And it's definitely a benefit, especially if somebody enjoyed looking at scenery and was not so felt claustrophobic to begin with. So anyway, take that for what it is, and you make your own judgment on it. But it is definitely an option for the 2024 models, which we did not have that option in the 2023. All right, so I'm sitting here in the seat, and forgive me, it still has plastic on it. We just got this vehicle in yesterday, and it hasn't been completely detailed yet. But leg room, probably very similar to the theme. I could slide the seat back even more to give a little more leg room. The back of the console is very similar as it was to the 2023 model, and this console looks the same as what it was as well. Now I'm going to jump in the back seat and see if it feels like there's more leg room. Now it's definitely a lot easier getting in this one. In fact, I even turned the video off while ago trying to get back in. This seat is folded down. It's kind of leaned back quite a ways, and so it definitely would makes it seem like it's tight in here. But the one thing I noticed right away is there's a lot more headroom. There's a lot more leg room in between seats. And even if this backrest was up like it's supposed to be, it would make it seem like there was a lot more. So you feel a lot less claustrophobic back here. And it just seems like there's a lot more room. The seats themselves are the same. These aren't padded any more than the other ones are. And could a full-size adult ride back here? Well, sure, absolutely. There's plenty of room. Is it really comfortable? No, probably not. It's still probably more designed for kids back here than a full-size adult would be if you were taking a long trip. But it's definitely more room than what you would have in the previous gen Highlander. One of the things I noticed here just a minute ago is like if you wanted to lock the doors, you can put your finger or thumb on those lines there. It will lock all the doors. If you want to unlock the door, you put your hand on the inside of the handle, and that unlocks the driver's door for safety purposes. Now, previously, if you were to grab the back door handle, it wouldn't do anything at all. Now, if you put your hand on there, as long as you have the key fob with you and you're within about a 3-foot proximity, it does lock the back doors as well. So, I'm going to walk around to the front, give you a look at the front. I'm going to walk back up to the front of the 2023 model. And so you can see how much different it is. All right, folks, that was just a kind of a quick overview there. Hopefully it maybe answer some of the questions you might have. If you have any questions, any comments, take the time to send them my way. If you have a vehicle, like say for instance, if you put a deposit down on one and you're waiting for it to come in, go on ahead and send me the VIN number. I'd be more than happy to get you an update on your status and kind of give you an idea, where the vehicle is currently at and when to kind of expect it. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Take the time to like and subscribe. And if you have anybody looking for a vehicle or considering a new Grand Highlander, please go on ahead and share with this information with them. Thanks again.